Hello and welcome to the Remote Revolution, a podcast by Virtual Mojo. This is where we explore how modern businesses are transforming the way they work through remote teams, virtual support, and smarter operational strategies. In each episode, we bring you insights, conversations, and practical ideas to help entrepreneurs, leaders, and growing companies build efficient, scalable, and future-ready organizations. If you're looking to work smarter, scale faster, and unlock the power of remote talent, you're in the right place. Let's begin.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 23 of The Remote Revolution, with your host, Aneeq and Umaima, as our guest. Today, we're examining a real-world case study of a medical practice that rebuilt its front desk operations entirely with remote staff. We'll explore the challenges, implementation process, and results, along with the lessons healthcare organizations can apply when creating efficient remote support teams.
Yeah, and it's such a fascinating case to look at.
It really is. And we are going into this deep dive with a very specific, a somewhat controversial mission today.
Oh, definitely controversial.
Right. Because we are going to completely dismantle this massive, almost universally accepted assumption.
Yeah, and that assumption is basically that a medical practice absolutely, fundamentally needs a physical team sitting right there in the clinic.
Right, like sitting there to answer the phones and check patients in.
Exactly. Sitting there to aggressively wield a clipboard, right? I mean, healthcare is a deeply personal industry.
Yeah, it really is.
Which is exactly why the transition we are unpacking today is genuinely shocking to a lot of traditionalists.
It really is shocking. And, I want to challenge you, the listener, right out of the gate here.
Go for it.
So just think about your last visit to a doctor's office. You walk in, and the waiting room has those squeaky vinyl chairs.
Oh, I know the exact ones.
Right. And there's always someone in the corner coughing into a magazine from like 3 years ago.
Always.
And then there is a visibly stressed out person sitting behind this heavy sliding glass window. So my question to you is, do you honestly care if the person verifying your insurance details is physically sitting behind that glass partition?
That's the real question, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, could they literally be in their pajamas 500 miles away so long as your claim actually goes through and you get to see the doctor on time?
Well, see, we hold on to this idea of the physical waiting room receptionist like it's a sacred cow of healthcare.
We really do. It's like untouchable.
It's treated as a cornerstone of the patient experience. And the controversy is totally understandable, though, because when we think about healthcare, we immediately think about intimacy.
Right, face-to-face care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the very idea of stripping away that physical front desk feels incredibly counterintuitive.
Yeah, it feels like you're making the practice clinical and cold. Right.
Exactly. But the reality of this case study proves that sometimes our assumptions about what makes an experience personal are, well, wildly off base.
So true.
So today we're looking at how this clinic pulled off this massive shift by completely ignoring physical location.
And focusing entirely on actual operational outcomes, right?
Precisely.
Okay, so to understand how radical the cure was, we really need to diagnose the disease first.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you looked at this practice on paper before they made the change, you wouldn't think they were sick at all.
No, not at all.
You would think they were a phenomenal success story. I mean,
Yeah.
Patient demand was surging.
Appointment volumes were climbing month over month.
But behind the scenes, it was a totally different reality, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a mess. The administrative burden was quietly metastasizing.
Metastasizing, wow. That's a strong word for it.
Well, it fits. Because a booming business on paper often masks, profound operational failure on the floor.
Right.
When patient volume goes up, the paperwork, the phone calls, the insurance verifications.
They don't just increase linearly.
Right, exactly. They multiply. It compounds.
So paint that picture for us. What did the actual physical environment look like for the people standing in that clinic every day?
Oh, man.
Because I'm imagining an absolute pressure cooker.
A pressure cooker is, like, a great way to describe it. Imagine trying to provide empathetic, face-to-face care in an environment that is pure ambient chaos.
Ambient chaos. That sounds awful.
It is. You have phones ringing constantly, which creates this incredibly stressful baseline noise.
Oh, I hate that sound.
Right, and you have an in-office worker trying to greet a nervous patient who just walked through the door.
Which requires empathy and eye contact.
Exactly. But wait, that same worker is simultaneously putting another patient on hold on line 2.
Oh, geez.
While also trying to navigate a really sluggish web portal to process a complex insurance verification.
So they are basically juggling flaming swords.
Yes. And because the staff is forced to constantly context switch and multitask all day, patient calls are just being missed entirely.
Wow.
Response times for basic inquiries are stretching from minutes to hours.
Okay, so it wasn't a demand problem. People actively wanted to see these doctors.
Right.
It was strictly an operational capacity problem. The pipeline was clogged.
Perfectly said.
Now, I know what almost every leadership team does in this scenario because, well, it's just human nature.
Oh, of course it is.
When a business is booming and the staff is drowning, the knee-jerk reaction is to just hire more hands.
Always.
Like, their first instinct was to simply lease a bigger desk and cram more local in-office employees behind that glass window. Right.
That is always the default setting in traditional management. Just, add more bodies to the physical space.
Just pack them in.
Yeah. If the phones are ringing too much, hire another person to sit in the room and answer the phones.
But I have to push back on that logic because it seems so short-sighted to me.
Oh, it absolutely is.
It's like trying to bail out a leaky boat with a bigger bucket instead of just finding the hole and patching it.
That's a great analogy.
Or, it's like trying to solve a traffic jam by adding more cars to the highway.
Exactly.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate for the listener here for a second.
Okay, go for it.
Why is throwing more local bodies at the problem necessarily the wrong move? I mean, isn't a busy, chaotic clinic just the natural growing pains of a bustling local business?
No, it might signal healthy demand, sure, but it's a terrible indicator of efficiency.
Really? How so?
Because throwing more local bodies at the problem is fundamentally flawed. You aren't fixing the broken underlying workflow.
You're just crowding the boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are paying a huge premium for commercial real estate to house an employee who's going to sit in a chaotic room and get constantly distracted.
That makes a lot of sense when you put it like that.
Right. The pivotal aha moment for this practice's leadership came when they stopped frantically trying to hire and actually started auditing.
Auditing.
Yeah, they conducted this massive, deeply granular workflow audit.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I love when a business actually stops to look at itself in the mirror like that.
It's so rare, but so necessary.
So if you were running this clinic, or really any small business, what does a workflow audit of this scale actually entail? What are the things to try if you want to pull this off?
Well, the first thing to try is incredibly simple but mentally jarring.
Okay, what is it?
Categorizing every single task that the front desk performs into two very strict, unforgiving buckets.
Two buckets, got it.
Bucket one is for tasks that absolutely, without question, require a physical presence.
Like greeting a patient when they walk in?
Yes, greeting a patient, handing them a physical sample cup, escorting them down the hall to a room, things like that.
Got it. And the second bucket?
Bucket two is for tasks that can technically be done remotely.
And I'm guessing the distribution between those two buckets was completely out of whack with how they were currently staffing the clinic.
Oh, it was earth-shattering for their operational model.
Really?
Yeah, they realized that massive time-consuming chunks of their daily work,
Like what?
like scheduling appointments, calling insurance companies, sending out routine patient reminders,
Wow.
even coordinating referrals with other specialists or managing the doctor's calendar.
And none of that requires physical presence.
None of it. All of these things were completely untethered from physical patient interaction.
That is wild when you really let it sink in.
It really changes your perspective.
Because we culturally picture the medical receptionist as this inherently physical, location-bound job, right?
Yes, we do.
It's the person you wave to when you walk in the door.
Right.
But when you break down their actual minute-by-minute activity, a huge percentage of their day is just looking at a glowing rectangle or talking into a plastic headset.
Exactly. The work was already entirely digital. The practice was just forcing the person doing that digital work to sit in a highly expensive, highly distracting physical room to do it.
Okay, so they run this audit. The truth is staring them right in the face.
Staring right at them.
But seeing the truth on a spreadsheet and having the guts to act on it in the real world,
For two very different things.
very different. Which brings us to the actual prescription they applied which I like to call the stealth-phased rollout.
I love that name for it.
Thanks. Because once they realized how much work could be done remotely, they came face to face with their absolute biggest fear.
Which was the fear of losing the patient's trust.
That's huge.
They were terrified that stripping away the physical front desk would completely destroy the intimate patient experience.
Which is their whole brand, basically.
Exactly. They worried patients would feel disconnected, or like they were being routed to some massive, faceless corporate call center.
Right. And if you are a local clinic, your patient's trust is your primary currency.
It's everything.
If they feel like they are just a number in a queue being handled by an outsourced bot, you lose them to the clinic down the street immediately.
You do.
So how did they actually implement this massive shift without triggering a mass exodus of angry patients?
Well, by heavily relying on a gradual phased transition,
Okay.
rather than, an overnight flip the switch scenario.
They didn't just rip the Band-Aid off.
No, they didn't just fire the front desk staff on a Friday and install a self-service tablet on Monday.
That would have been a disaster. So walk us through the specifics of phase one. What did they actually hand over to the remote team first?
So in phase one, the remote staff exclusively took over the phone-heavy administrative tasks.
The loud stuff.
Yes. We are talking about intercepting incoming calls, handling appointment confirmations, processing scheduling requests,
Right.
and conducting routine patient reminders. These are all vital functions, but they already happen primarily over the phone anyway.
So this was basically a stealth operation.
Pretty much.
The patients didn't even know what was happening.
No idea.
But wait, let me lean into the controversy here and challenge this approach.
Okay, I'm ready.
If I'm a patient and I'm talking to this incredibly comforting voice on the phone who is patiently helping me schedule a deeply personal, maybe scary medical procedure,
Right, yeah.
and I later find out that person isn't actually in my city, let alone in the building, do I feel duped? Like, is there an element of deception to this?
I mean, I completely understand why it might feel deceptive at first glance.
It feels a little sneaky.
But that fear fundamentally misunderstands how patients actually evaluate their healthcare experiences.
Oh, so.
You really have to analyze what a patient truly desires in that moment of contact.
Okay, what do they desire?
They judge their experience based on responsiveness, clarity, and accuracy.
Not geography.
Exactly. If you are a worried patient calling your doctor, you do not care about the geographical coordinates of the person answering the phone.
That's true.
You care that your call was answered on the very first ring.
Right. Rather than being put on hold for 20 minutes while an in-person receptionist deals with a line of grumpy people in the waiting room.
Exactly.
That makes total sense when you frame it around the desired outcome. We kind of trick ourselves into thinking we want a local person, but what we really want is competence.
Competence, speed, and undivided attention.
Undivided attention, yes.
And the results of phase one proved that theory almost immediately.
Really? What happened?
Call response times dropped dramatically.
Wow.
The number of missed patient calls plummeted to near zero.
That's incredible.
And perhaps the most profoundly noticeable change was inside the clinic itself.
Oh, I bet.
The constant chaotic interruptions for the staff who were actually physically in the office completely stopped.
I can only imagine the sheer relief for the in-office staff.
It was night and day.
To finally be able to look a worried patient in the eye, have a genuine human moment with them, and not have a multi-line phone screaming at them in the background.
Right.
It must have felt like a massive weight was lifted off their shoulders.
It completely transformed the psychological atmosphere of the waiting room.
From chaos to calm.
It went from a place of stress to a place of absolute calm. And once leadership saw the undeniable success of phase one, they confidently moved right to phase two.
And phase two is the big stuff, right?
Yeah, this is where they expanded the scope of the remote team to handle the really heavy administrative lifting.
Like what specifically?
Complex insurance verifications, referral coordination, detailed appointment follow-ups.
Wow, okay.
Even proactive patient outreach and major data processing.
So they basically hollowed out the entire administrative burden from the physical building.
Yes, completely.
But this transition naturally brings up a massive operational hurdle in my mind.
Okay, what's that?
Because now that you have these remote staff members handling the vast majority of the critical daily work, how do you actually manage a team that you can't physically see?
Oh, this is a crucial point. And we have to completely dismantle a very dangerous myth here.
Which is?
The patient is The idea that technology magically solves everything.
Oh yeah, people love to think software is a silver bullet.
They do. People hear about remote work case studies and they just assume the secret is buying an expensive software suite or a fancy, internet phone system.
Right, just buy the app and you're good.
Exactly. But technology is just the plumbing. Systems were the true hero of this story.
I love that distinction. Because software is just a tool you buy, but a system is a behavior you enforce.
Brilliantly put, yes.
So if a listener is thinking about trying this in their own business, what were the actual concrete systems this clinic had to build to prevent total operational chaos?
Well, they had to engineer an incredibly robust framework from the ground up.
Meaning what, practically?
This meant creating strictly documented workflows for every possible scenario.
No more guessing.
None. It meant rigid communication protocols, clear step-by-step escalation procedures, objective performance tracking.
Wow, so everything is measured.
Everything. And above all, completely centralized information with undeniable ownership of specific tasks.
Let's zoom in on that communication shift, actually, because I think this is where so many businesses trying to go remote completely fall flat on their faces.
Oh, it's the #1 point of failure.
Right.
Right.
So how did communication fundamentally change for them compared to the old physical model?
Well, think about how communication works in a traditional physical office.
It's mostly just yelling across the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is incredibly messy and prone to error. It relies heavily on informal verbal updates.
Right.
Someone shouts across the desk like, hey, did you follow up on that cardiology referral from Mr. Smith?
Or someone leaves a frantic, illegible sticky note on a computer monitor.
Yes, the dreaded sticky note. When you transition to a remote team, you are forced to abandon those bad habits.
You literally can't do it anymore.
Right, you must use standardized asynchronous communication channels.
So what does that replace the sticky note with?
So instead of a sticky note, it's a digital ticket with a forced timestamp, a clear status update, and an assigned owner.
Ah, accountability. So the sheer fact that they couldn't just tap someone on the shoulder and interrupt them actually forced their communication to become significantly stronger and more reliable.
It completely eliminated the whole he said, she said drama of office administration.
That alone is worth the transition.
It really is. But building these systems introduced a massive training hurdle, and this is perhaps the most vital lesson for anyone listening.
Okay, pay attention, folks.
The clinic's leadership quickly realized that undocumented knowledge simply does not scale.
Undocumented knowledge. Explain the mechanics of that. What does that actually look like in the context of this specific clinic?
Sure. So in a traditional office environment, a terrifying amount of institutional knowledge lives exclusively inside the heads of the staff.
Oh, I've seen that.
Let's say you have a veteran receptionist. She just inherently knows how to navigate a specific, weird insurance claim error.
Because she's done it 100 times over the last 10 years.
Exactly. But if that entire process only exists in her head, remote onboarding is impossible.
Right.
You cannot effectively train a new remote hire 3 states away if your only training manual is just watch what the veteran receptionist does and try to copy her.
That is such a common trap. I'll give you an original analogy for this.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's like trying to learn a complex, multi-generational family recipe, but the grandmother just says, oh, you just add a pinch of this and a splash of that until it looks right.
Yes, exactly.
You can't replicate that in a commercial kitchen. You need exact measurements.
You absolutely do. So the clinic had to actually write down every single step, every single keystroke of everything they did.
That sounds exhausting but necessary.
Documentation had to become the foundational bedrock of their entire operation.
Wow.
And once they had those standardized processes written down, it allowed for a completely different, much healthier kind of accountability.
How so?
Well, they shifted their entire management philosophy to focus on measurable outcomes.
Meaning they were rigorously tracking, response times, scheduling accuracy, and task completion rates.
Exactly. Rather than just keeping tabs on people,
Right.
they stopped monitoring a worker's physical activity. Are they sitting upright at their desk looking busy?
Right, the appearance of work.
Yes. They stopped looking at that and started solely evaluating their actual tangible results.
So it's the difference between judging a chef by how much they sweat in the kitchen versus how the actual food tastes.
That's a perfect way to put it.
If the meal is spectacular and comes out on time, Who cares if the chef took a 5-minute break to sit down, right?
Oh, who cares?
But practically speaking, I have to throw another challenge at you here.
Bring it on.
How do you stop these remote workers from feeling like isolated, disconnected gig workers?
That is a very real risk.
Doesn't the clinic's internal culture completely wither and die if half your team is literally invisible to the other half?
The culture absolutely will die if leadership ignores it or treats remote work as purely transactional.
Right. So how did they avoid that?
Well, this practice was proactive. They intentionally engineered integration.
Engineered integration, meaning...
The remote staff were never treated as second-class citizens or disposable outside contractors. They attended all the team meetings via video.
Nice.
They received the exact same regular practice updates as the in-house staff. They were heavily involved in goal setting.
So they really were a part of the team.
Fully. They were treated, in every operational sense, as core essential team members.
So it requires deeply active, intentional leadership. You can't just set up the Slack channel, hand out the logins, and forget about them.
Not at all. You have to cultivate the team culture with the exact same rigor and discipline that you use to engineer the daily workflows.
All right, this brings us to the prognosis. The future state of the business.
The fun part.
Yes. We have these remote systems firing on all cylinders. The phones are being answered on the first ring.
The complex insurance is verified without a hitch.
The team culture is thriving. We really have to look at what happens to the physical office that was left behind and how this reshapes the practice's future.
Well, the transformation within the physical four walls of the clinic was just stunning.
I can imagine.
The indicators of success weren't just on spreadsheets. You could literally feel it in the air.
Wow.
There were no more administrative backlogs piling up on desks.
Peace and quiet.
Yes. Communication with patients was finally proactive and consistent. The burnout and stress levels for the in-office staff absolutely plummeted.
And from a management perspective, leadership was probably no longer spending their entire day frantically putting out operational fires.
Exactly, because the fires were being predicted and prevented by the remote systems before they even sparked.
But that begs a massive question for me.
Okay.
If the remote team is doing all the heavy administrative lifting,
Yeah.
what does the person standing behind the physical desk actually do all day now?
That is the best part. Their role completely evolved.
Evolved into what?
Well, the physical front desk stopped being a chaotic catch-all department.
Right, where everything from billing disputes to scheduling errors was just unceremoniously dumped on them?
Exactly. The on-site staff now exclusively handle high-value, genuine, patient-facing interactions.
So they are focused purely on hospitality, basically.
Right. They welcome the patient warmly. They guide them through the physical space.
They provide the actual, necessary human empathy and reassurance that physical presence is uniquely built for.
Beautifully said, yes.
So what you're saying is we should be questioning the fundamental necessity of physical presence in almost all administrative work.
We should.
Are we looking at the death of the traditional receptionist as we know it?
We are looking at the death of the traditional receptionist as a stressed-out, multitasking administrative workhorse.
Okay, fair.
But we are simultaneously looking at the birth of the physical staff member as a highly focused, true patient experience specialist.
That is a massive upgrade.
It is, and a major misconception we really have to clear up here is the idea that remote work inherently means lower quality.
Oh yeah, people definitely assume that.
They do. A lot of people still equate outsourcing or remote administrative work with cheaping out.
Like it's a compromise.
Exactly. But in reality, quality has nothing to do with geography. Quality relies entirely on strong leadership and bulletproof systems.
That is such a vital distinction for you to internalize as you listen to this deep dive. The quality of the care and the administration didn't drop at all.
Not one bit.
The physical location of the execution simply shifted to a more optimal environment.
Exactly. The future of healthcare administration, and frankly many other service industries, is this hybrid operational model.
It makes perfect sense.
It is about strictly separating the physical necessities of the job from the remote capable tasks.
And when you do that, the real magic reviews itself in the scalability factor.
Oh, the scalability is where this gets incredible.
Let's talk about scalability, because this is where the pure business mechanics of this case study completely change the game.
Think about what happens when this clinic inevitably wants to grow now.
Right.
In the old traditional model, if patient volume increases by 20%, you have to find and lease more physical office space to fit more desks.
You literally need a bigger building.
You do. And you have to engage in frantic, expensive local hiring.
Fighting over a very limited talent pool within a 10-mile radius of your zip code.
Exactly. But with this new decentralized model, the practice gained the ultimate flexibility.
How so?
They can expand their administrative capacity almost infinitely by tapping into a global talent pool without acquiring a single new square foot of commercial real estate.
That is amazing. The efficiency they gained wasn't just about cutting overhead costs, it was about opening up massive operational capacity.
Exactly. They completely decoupled their business growth from their physical floor plan.
That is absolutely incredible.
It's a total paradigm shift.
Okay, let's wrap this up and pull all these distinct threads together for you. We just took a massive deep dive into a clinic that completely flipped the script on how a medical front desk should operate.
They really did.
If you're going to take anything away from this case study, it is these core lessons.
Pay attention.
First, before you hire a single new person to fix a bottleneck, you have to map your workflows. You have to know exactly what is happening minute by minute in your business.
And you have to document those processes obsessively and early.
Yes, document everything.
Because relying on the undocumented knowledge in your veteran employees' heads is a massive operational liability.
Absolutely a liability.
Right.
Second, you have to force yourself to focus on actual measurable outcomes over physical location.
Right.
Stop managing your team by how much they sweat in the kitchen and start managing them by the quality of the meal they actually produce.
I love that chef analogy.
It works. And finally, real sustainable efficiency comes from fundamentally redesigning the way the work is done.
Not just throwing more physical bodies at a broken system.
Exactly.
It is entirely about intentional design. Redesigning the workflow is the only way to scale your operations without breaking your staff's morale or completely destroying your budget.
Could not agree more. So, as you go about your day, I want to directly challenge you to look at your own business, your own team, or even just your daily operations at work.
Take a really hard look.
Look at the things you consider essential. What physical tasks are actually just deeply ingrained, outdated habits?
Yeah.
What are you demanding be done in person simply because, well, that is the way it has always been done?
It is a slightly uncomfortable question, for sure, but it can completely transform how you view and deploy your resources.
It really can. It forces you to separate the truly essential from the merely familiar.
Very true.
And I want to leave you with a lingering, provocative thought based on everything we uncovered today.
Wait on them.
If a highly personal, incredibly high-stakes environment like a medical clinic can successfully outsource its face-to-face administration to invisible, remote systems without patients batting an eye,
Which they did.
what other sacred, traditionally in-person professions are just one workflow audit away from being completely decentralized?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Thank you for listening to The Remote Revolution. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and share it with other professionals who are building the future of work. To learn more about how Virtual Mojo helps businesses grow with highly trained virtual assistants and remote support teams, visit www.virtualmojo.com. For inquiries or collaborations, reach out to us at contact@virtualmojo.com. Until next time, keep building smarter systems and embracing the future of work.